Good morning. I think we'll get started and request to everybody to switch off your mics and as well as your video. Thank you. Morning again, and happy to see you all here at our monthly meeting. Very quickly to update as to what is happening. There's a lot happening in terms of the urban wilderness walk, which has got off very well. We had a virtual session, we had a field session, and then we had a review, and the interns are really picking up. And there's a WhatsApp group that was set up for this, and there's a lot of interaction that is happening, which is there's a lot of learning that is also happening. We also had another mock walk session yesterday inside the Kottapuram Urban Forest. Went off very well. The groups are all now ready to go, and all of them are now will be 28 of them now. They will be conducting at least one walk before the end of August in their locality. You know, some people from their neighbors or friends or whatever. Anyway, so that's taken off very well. The coastal biodiversity study, where we have completed the first part, the zone. Once we have finished the first zone, we now associating ourselves with the Center for Advanced Studies in Marine Biology, Ahimaz University, which is based in Parangi, and with their support and help, and of course, there's a bit of costs which we will be bearing, but with their help and assistance and knowledge and everything and experience that they've had, we're going to go ahead and starting the 16th of August, we are going to cover. There are two research fellows who have been identified. The person who's representing Ahimaz University is Dr. Brahadishwaran, who's in charge of the R&D there, is also an associate professor there. A classmate of one of our life members, who's also an expert on mangroves, Professor Masalamani. It was actually through Masi that we were able to contact them and take it to this level. Well, they would be starting off. So the zone 2 starts off and 3. The entire stretch is zone 2. Starts off at Ariyankupam, Tengai Estuary, right down. The third zone ends at Dhanishkodi. So there would be a lot of data gathering which will happen pre-monsoon. So that is the reason why we are starting now. And there would be another sampling which will be done post-monsoon. So we will, the periods when the monsoon is there, there'll be a lot of data collation, analysis, trying to identify, back and forth, discuss. As the same manner in which we had approached Zone 1, our team, our core team consisting of, I call them the Ocean 6, the 6 youngsters have all gone through all the published literature that is available for Zone 2 and Zone 3. And there is a huge list, master list, which has been created, which covers, we're basically studying across 8 taxa as we did in Zone 1. And that master list is also ready. And I'm sure by the time the RFs complete their field surveys, the list will only grow. Well, I hope, assuming that what has been seen over the last 10-15 years are still there and more have come. Well, that's it as far as what's happening. We've still not physically gone into the field, but we did have one Raptor survey last Sunday. Well, we went to, this was Tirukazhikundram and its surroundings, and GK was there. He led the whole team. There were 30 plus. We split ourselves into 4 teams and surveyed. It is called simultaneous surveying of everything that is happening around. And it is very interesting. We did see a Shine Falcon, which was, I think, for that particular spot where the Shine Falcon was sighted, I think it could be a first sighting. Well, we also saw Oriental Ahimaz, short-out snake eagle, a lot of shikras. It was a very nice day. It was the day itself was very nice till about almost till 9 o'clock. It was nice and cloudy, and so it was very nice. And after that, immediately the thermals came, and we could see the raptors soaring, hovering. In fact, I think one team saw the short-out snake eagle doing a dive and a kill, and another team which was on the other side of the hill, we actually saw it coming back with the remnants of what it had killed in its talons, and it was, bending down and eating as it was flying. It was very interesting. We had a wonderful time. So all 3 projects are going on very well. In keeping with the times, being very careful. Everybody who went on the trip, the Raptor Survey, are all vaccinated. So also all the interns are vaccinated, taking maximum precaution to ensure that everything goes on well. So, without much ado, I will now introduce my good friend, Preston Ahimaz. In fact, Preston and I have known each other since 1974. We studied together at Loyola, although I saw very little of Preston in class because Preston spent most of his time during college days at the Madras Snake Park. And well, that's probably done him a lot of good. And but he did do extremely well when he finished his BCom. He passed up very well. Thereafter, he went to the UK and USA for training, and came back, joined Snake Park, Crocodile Bank, worked with the WW of India for a very, very long time. He was the National Field Director when he left them. He was the head of the Tamil Nadu State Office for a very, very long time. Left a great impression on the works of WW of India and its early days in India. Stepped back a bit after he left them and went into his own work. He was doing a lot of painting, illustrating, writing. Published author. He has actually written a book on spiders, and the eponymous book on the urban fauna of India. I still remember, we had this discussion while he was titling the book. He said in small letters, "A guide to some urban fauna of India." And I objected to it. I said, "Why are you writing some? Preston, why do you just say a guide to urban fauna?" He said, "No, this is only some. I'm not sure I've covered everything." And there's close to 1,000 species in this book across taxa. A fantastic book, which was published by Madras Naturalist Society in 2014. This is a Bible to most people today. Actually is. A lot of people carry this around. A lot of people refer to this on a constant basis. In fact, our interns will underwrite what I said because they've been using this constantly in the last more than a month and found it extremely, extremely useful. I think there's nothing more that can be said about this book, but Preston then joined Pichanikulam, and I must say after since the last almost 8-9 years, he's been doing tremendous work with the TVS group of companies, especially in the TVS Motor Company factory in Hosur and Sundaram Clayton factory in Ambattur. Today is the most sought after forest restoration consultant in the south of India, and I think the Enfield, Royal Enfield factory, which is there in Tirupati, have also approached him, and they want to do some work in that factory as well. So this is Preston for you, friends, and now I call on Preston to take over. Preston.
Thanks, Vijay. Thanks for that introduction. Yes, I have been active the last 40 odd years. Since I left college, I've been into this. I haven't done anything else. I did BCom with Vijay, but never did anything in connection with banking or currency or anything like that. In fact, after I finished BCom, I rolled up all my certificates and put them away and never saw them again. Don't you know where they are? And I got into wildlife and conservation professionally. And just to, before I begin, just want to tell you that Vijay mentioned a book that I'd written on spiders. This was written in about 2014. This is the one. I don't know if you can see it. I brought this out with Dr. Vijay Lakshmi. I don't know if you can make out. There it is. That's the first book that we wrote, the first popular book on spiders that was published. So ever since then, my interest in spiders has always been there, but it has widened to other areas. And now I do not so much of wildlife as much as habitat building, because that's what's important. Without the habitat, you can't have wildlife. So you first create the habitat and then you bring in the wildlife. You want to enjoy wildlife, you have to have the habitat there first. So maybe we can get on with the slideshow now, with the talk on today's talk, that is spiders. Okay.
Excuse me. Could everybody please switch off your mic? Rachel, I think your mic is on. Could you please switch off your mic? Thank you.
Okay, here we go. And normally, when anybody sees spiders, a spider or any kind of spider, the first reaction is one of horror, because the word spider brings to mind a big, huge, hairy, ugly beast, like the one that you're seeing in the picture. That is the biggest spider in the world, and it is rather hairy, it is big, but that does not mean to say it's ugly or deadly dangerous. Spiders are not dangerous to man by and large. There are some that can be dangerous, and we'll come to that later on. But the typical spider is a harmless, very useful creature, and they can be very colorful and fantastically shaped. So it's not that dirty, horrible, dreadful monster that the movies sometimes make them out to be. Now, spiders are arthropods. They are animals with jointed feet. That is the basic phylum to which they belong. But and I don't know why we dislike them, because there are so many other animals that are also that come under this phylum, arthropoda. Crabs, prawns, insects, butterflies, all these creatures are all arthropods. They're all creatures with jointed feet. And we don't find them repulsive. In fact, some of us eat crabs and prawns. So why spiders? There are people who eat spiders, by the way. There are people who do eat spiders. Not that spiders are there for us to eat, but it's not that. What I'm trying to say is they're not that horrible, ugly. They're not poisonous. Spiders are not poisonous. Some are venomous. They are venomous, yes, but not poisonous. There's a difference. Poisonous means poisonous to eat. Venomous means they can give you a venomous bite or sting. Now, spiders are arachnids. Arachnids are arthropods with 2 body segments, 8 legs, and a few other features which we'll come to later on. They are not insects. Insects, as you can see, are very different. Insects have 3 body segments, whereas spiders and arachnids have 2. Insects have 6 legs, arachnids have 8. Insects have wings at some stage or the other of their lives. Spiders never have wings at any stage of their lives, even embryonically. Very distinct, 2 different classes. They are as distinct from each other as mammals are from birds, for example. Now, there are many kinds of arachnids. There are several, about 12 orders under the phylum Arachnida. Now, one of those orders is the scorpion order, Scorpiones, which is one that perhaps the only generally dangerous arachnid, dangerous in the sense venomous arachnid. It still doesn't make them dangerous. They still don't come chasing after you to sting you. They're still scared of us. They still scuttle away the minute we see them or they see us. They still like to avoid us. There's nothing to worry about them unless you mess around with them. If you mess around with any creature, it gets defensive. You step on a dog's toes or a dog's tail, it doesn't say thank you very much, it'll probably bite you. So why not the other creatures? The other order of arachnids is the Acarina, the ticks and mites, the ticks that you see on dogs, and the red velvet mite, which you sometimes see during monsoons. Even in Chennai, you see them crawling all over the shore. So these are arachnids. They also have 8 legs. They have 2 body parts, although sometimes it cannot be clearly made out. Like in the case of ticks and mites, the body parts are fused. Only one, if you look at the picture of the tick. But there are 2, they are fused together. Embryonically, there are 2 body parts, and that makes them an arachnid. They have 8 legs too. The whip scorpions or the vinegaroons are another order, Solifugae. Now, these creatures are not venomous. They don't have a venomous sting. They have pincers. They have pincers like a scorpion, but they don't use them in defense. They use them only to grab their prey. You pick up a whip scorpion, it doesn't do a thing to you. What it might do is spray acetic acid from the base of its tail. That acetic acid is a tool for them to dissolve the exoskeleton of their insect prey. But when they're agitated or frightened, they release this, and it smells like vinegar. So if you pick up a whip scorpion in your hand and you smell your hand, it will smell of vinegar, acetic acid. They're not poisonous, they're not venomous, they don't even defend themselves. You can pick them up in your hand. Not that you should do that because you'll be agitating and stressing them out. But what I'm trying to say is they are totally harmless. Another order, the pholcids, the Opilion order, these are what we call harvestmen. Sometimes called daddy long legs, but they're also daddy long leg spiders. So to distinguish, we call them harvestmen. Usually found in fields during the time of the harvest. They have a small body, very long, flexible, flimsy legs. And again, if you look at the picture there on the right-hand top corner, you'll see only one body part. Again, the 2 segments are fused, as in the case of the ticks and mites. But embryonically, they have 2 body parts, 8 legs, and that makes them arachnids. Very often in forest areas, you'll find a huge bunch, a cluster, a mass, a hairy mass clustered together. If you blow on it, it'll suddenly explode, and all these daddy long legs harvestmen will go scattering in all directions. They're also totally harmless. They'd have no venom. They have no stinger, nothing. But they're carnivores, like all arachnids, in fact. Most arachnids are carnivores. This is called the whip spider. This is another order of arachnids. And they are not venomous again. They don't have a stinger. And the first pair of legs, if you count the legs, you'll find 4 large ones and 1 thin, skinny one in front. That first pair of legs is modified into feeling organs, like antennae. That's another thing. Arachnids don't have antennae like insects. That's yet another distinguishing feature. So these 2, the first pair of legs are long, they're flexible, they're sensory, they have lots of sensory hairs on them. So they're used as feelers. The order they belong to is called Amblypygid. They are sometimes called whip spiders or tailless whip scorpions. This guy is a solifuge, the order Solifugae. The striking feature about this little arachnid is those huge jaws that you see on its head. More than 70% of its head is made up of jaw and comprises of those massive jaw muscles, which makes this arachnid, the solifuge, pound for pound, that is proportionately, the animal with the most powerful jaws in the entire animal kingdom. Forget about your crocodiles, sperm whales, great white shark, lion, hyena. Its jaws are more powerful than any of these proportionately. So if you blew up a solifuge to the size of a great white shark, its jaw power would be far, far greater. Same with a crocodile or a lion or a hyena. These guys' jaws are far more powerful than any other in the world, pound for pound. The solifuge, also called camel spiders or wind spiders. There are lots of other little arachnids. There are the micro scorpions, and this is the lower left corner, the pseudo scorpions. Pseudo scorpions on the right hand side, very tiny, a millimeter, less than a millimeter sometimes in total length. They have no stinger, no stinging tail, but they have a bit of venom in their pincers. And they, of course, feed on very, very tiny creatures. They're of no significance to us in the sense that you don't even see them. You know, they hide on the bark and stuff like that. There are two others, the sea spiders and the horseshoe crab, which were earlier classed under arachnids, but now they've been given separate classifications of their own. They're no longer considered to be arachnids. For one reason is they have 10 legs. Horseshoe crabs have 10 legs. Sea spiders have 10 or more or less. It varies. So they're no longer arachnids, but classified under two separate headings, orders. Now, to go to of course, spiders is the last order, and that's the topic of our talk today. Arachnids. That's the order to which all our spiders, 40,000 of them worldwide, belong. Now, characters of a spider are very simple and straightforward. If you look at a spider under a microscope, the first thing you are likely to notice in most spiders are these two huge eyes in front. Now, they don't have just two eyes. They have 8 or 6 eyes arranged in 2 or 3 rows on the face. In some spiders which hunt by sight, the central 2 eyes are large, as you can see in this jumping spider. And the others are small, and they're scattered everywhere, all over the place, in 2 rows, jumping spiders. The next thing that you will notice are those huge jaws. In spiders, they're not called mandibles, as they are in insects. They're called chelicerae. In spiders, those jaws are known as chelicerae. They're the ones that bear the fangs, and the fangs in spiders, except for a few families, all are connected to venom glands. So all spiders are venomous, but that doesn't make them dangerous. There are only few dangerous spiders in the world, and we'll come to that a little later. The next set of organs, first you have the eyes. Under the eyes, you have the chelicerae. To the side of the chelicerae, you see 2 little thin leg-like organs. They're not legs. They are pedipalps, and they perform the function of antennae or handling organs. Spiders use them to hold on to their prey or to hold on to the egg sacs in the case of females, and to manipulate their food as they feed on it. They're known as pedipalps. Now, in the scorpion, those huge pincers that you see, those grasping pincers, are actually the pedipalps of the scorpion, not the chelicerae, not the jaws. They're the pedipalps. They're the handling organs. The scorpion uses them to handle its prey, hold it down, while it uses the stinger to subdue it. And of course, you have 8 legs, the 4 pairs of legs, 4 on either side. And these legs can be shed, and they're regrown with every molt. Spiders molt throughout their lives 5 or 8 times. And with every molt, they can grow a leg that has been lost in the previous instar. These are called instars. Each molt is an instar. So the first instar sheds its molt, and you have the second instar, it sheds, it molts, and then you have the third instar, up to sometimes 8 instars. Now, all the appendages that we've spoken about so far are all attached to the front portion of the spider's body, the front segment, the cephalothorax. That is the head and thorax fused. In insects, you have head, thorax, and abdomen. In spiders, you have head and thorax fused and abdomen separate. So the legs, the chelicerae, the eyes, the pedipalps, all that is attached to the front portion, the cephalothorax. The rear portion, the bigger part, the abdomen, contains the book lungs. Spiders don't have trachea, they have lungs. They look like the leaves of a book. So they call book lungs. And the reproductive organs and digestive organs and stuff like that. And the spinnerets. That's the main organ attached to the spider's abdomen, the spinneret, through which the spider produces a material which is finer, much thinner than the hair of a human hair, but stronger than steel of the same thickness. So we have a strand of spider web and a strand of steel of the same thickness. You'll be holding the stronger one in the spider web, spider silk. And spider silk is also flexible. It can stretch, it's ductile, it's flexible. That makes it a far more useful material than steel. That's definitely for the spider. And this material is what the spider uses to build its famous web. Not all spiders build webs, but those that do use silk for that. The silk is also used for other things, for making a nursery for the young, or for making a cocoon to carry the eggs in, and also for as a drag line As a lifeline, when the spider jumps, it leaves a trail of silk, string of silk behind it. So in case it misses its footing, it can climb back up again. Young spiders use it for ballooning, for traveling over vast distances. We'll come to all that later. But the most important use of silk for the spider is the building of its web. And there are various kinds of webs. You have the sheet web, which is what you see in front of you. It's just like a hammock of silk stretched up between grass blades or leaves of a plant. And the spider waits under it and waits for something to land on it. When something does land on it, it grabs it through the web and feeds on it. Sometimes the sheet web is modified or produced into a tunnel at one end. So you have the sheet web and then you have a tunnel at one end. Inside the tunnel, the spider lurks. Instead of hanging upside down under its web, it sits carefully, safely in the tunnel, waits for something to land on the web. When the vibration on the web alerts it, rushes out, grabs it, takes it back to retreat, and feeds it there in comfort. Then you have scaffold webs. You can't see that very clearly in this picture, but the scaffold web is layer upon layer of webs, one above the other, interconnected with strands. And the spider usually hangs out in the center. That's what you see there in the picture. And it often has its egg cases strung up in a vertical line above it. This is the filmy dome. Sometimes what the spider does is it makes that net, that horizontal net, then attaches threads to the top and pulls them up so that the whole thing is produced into a sort of a dome. It's very, very filmy. That's why it's called the filmy dome. And often you'll find these filmy domes inside a scaffold web itself. The most popular one, of course, the web that the spider is generally known for is the orb web. It's nothing but a spiral built on several spokes. Now, the spokes in the spider's web are not sticky. They are non-sticky strands of silk. Spiders have 6 spinnerets, and each spinneret produces a different kind of silk. So they first attach these webs, these radii, to various objects and stuff like that. That forms the frame, the base. Then from the center, they start moving around in circles, spiraling outwards, measuring the distance between the spirals with their legs. That's why you can see the spirals are all evenly paced out. They're not at random. As the spider builds the first circle is fine. Second circle is measured by the length of its leg, using its leg from the first, and so on until all the spirals are complete. Now, this is only the trial or the base spiral. Once it is complete, the spider turns around and goes back, eating the previously laid spiral as it goes and laying down the sticky threads behind it. So the first layer, the first row of spirals is the guide spiral. That's measured with its leg and stuff. Second row is it just follows the guide spiral, eats it as it goes, and leaves a string of sticky thread stuck behind it. Now you have the complete web, which is sticky and ready to trap its prey. And most spiders change their webs every day or maybe every 2 days. They eat the old web and build a new one, usually at night. Some orb webs are huge. Now we have in our country one of the biggest spiders in the world, the giant wood spider. And the giant wood spider, this is another giant spider, this is the black wood spider, but they're both the same, more or less the same. And they both build these huge webs up to 4 feet in diameter. And in those webs, they can capture small birds, lizards. The web, the threads, the silk is extremely strong. If there are about 4 or 5 of these webs slung up one behind the other, it's difficult to walk through them. You get held back because the strands are so strong. Another kind of web is the social spider web. These webs are massive. They are far bigger than the orb web of the wood spider. They can stretch over several bushes, sometimes several trees are covered by social spider webs. And the spiders live together in community. There are a few spiders that live in society. They're not cannibalistic. They live in there and they feed together within that web. Now that social spider web is so massive, and you have little pouches. They build pouches in various places for the spiders to hide in. They can't just be spread out all over an open, lacy web. So they have these little retreats. Some of these retreats are so large and so dense that sunbirds nest in them, as you can see in the picture. The sunbird makes its nest in a social spider's web because it has a ready-made sack. Otherwise, it has to build that sack with debris and rubbish. Here it is ready-made, so the sunbird nests in it. Another kind of spider belonging to the family Dinodidae is the Orb Web Spider. This, the auger-faced. Now, if you look at this picture on the top left corner, you'll see a fearsome-looking creature. It looks like an auger of yore. So that's why it's called the auger-faced spider. But it's known not for its face, but for its hunting technique, which is it doesn't build a web. It uses silk, but doesn't build a web. It builds a little silken net, and it goes butterfly hunting. Just like we net butterflies, this spider nets its food. It hangs upside down from a structure that it builds. The first four legs, the first two pairs of legs, hold this net out in the form of kind of a square. And when something passes down below it, it flings this net on them and traps them, and then goes, picks them up, and feeds on them. This is the auger-faced spider, Dinodidae. This is the spitting spider from the family Scytodidae. Spitting spiders don't build webs. Now, the spiders that you're going to see from now on are the spiders that don't build webs. They have silk. They do use them, but they don't use them to build actual webs for trapping prey. The spitting spider, that Scytodidae, that is the family, they don't even actually spit out poison or venom. They spit out glue. They have glue glands in the head. That's where the front portion, you see the cephalothorax is almost as big as the abdomen, which is unusual. Spiders usually have a smaller cephalothorax and a big abdomen. Here the cephalothorax is huge because it has to house the glue glands besides the venom glands. So now you have a big container with all these merchandise available inside there. And this merchandise, the glue part, is used to trap prey. What they do is when they see something come fairly near us, close to them, within spitting range, if you like, they spit out the glue. They force it out and wag the head sideways in a zigzag motion. So the glue is spat out in a zigzag kind of a pattern, which effectively stitches the prey down to the surface on which it's standing. If it were just two streams, it would probably hit the prey in a form of a bulb and do nothing to it. So the spider zigzags the glue by oscillating its head from side to side as it's shooting out the glue. And this effectively binds the prey down on both sides. Then the spider goes up to it, bites it, paralyzes it, and sucks it dry. So a unique technique. A Robin Hood of spiders, if you like. He shoots. Some spiders build tunnels with a lid. These are the trapdoor spiders. The spider lives in the tunnel. The tunnel is built in maybe sand, soil, or sometimes even in the bark of a tree. I've seen them in barks of trees. They live inside the tunnel and they shut the lid. And they have radiating lines running from the mouth of the tunnel around them. So when a passing insect stumbles on those lines, it sends a signal to the spider hiding inside. He comes out, rushes out, grabs the prey, takes it back inside, shuts the lid, and feeds inside in peace. The trapdoor spiders. Some spiders don't bother to do anything. They are active hunters. They chase down and pounce on their prey. And the biggest order of spider, biggest family of spiders belongs to this type of spider, the jumping spider, the Salticidae. That's the biggest family of spiders, and they build no webs. They're active hunters. They have two large eyes in front to help them spot their prey easily. They ambush them, they stalk them, ambush them, chase them, grab them, and feed on them. Now, most spiders feed on all sorts of insects, largely insects. But they are, like all predators, they have to be opportunistic. They don't know when the next meal is coming. So whatever they get, whatever they can overpower, they will take. And here you have a picture of a hileless jumping spider feeding on a flower crab spider, another spider. They are not fussy. Courtship is a very dangerous time for a spider, male spider, because the females are always larger, as in the case of birds of prey, in the large whales, the large sharks, the females are usually larger. And as in the case of the praying mantis, she is also dangerous because she's a carnivore. Any small creature in front of her is potential prey, even if it's her own mate. He's smaller than her, so the chances are, if she feels like it, she'll grab and eat him. So male spiders approach females with great caution They're very careful. They send clear signals to the female saying, look, I'm not your prey, I'm a spider. Some jumping spiders beat out a particular tattoo, a pattern of leg beats on the female spider's web to let her know that he's another spider of her kind. He's come wooing, he's come courting. He hasn't come to offer dinner to her. So they approach with great care, and very often they present the female with a gift. Now, that's pretty amazing, huh? A little creature like this. The idea is not to pamper her, but the idea is to divert her attention while he mates, or she might finish him off. So he gives her this little gift. She feeds on it. While she's feeding on this, guy quickly goes, mates, and rushes off. A hasty retreat after the mating is over, because in case she finishes what he's given her before he finishes mating, she'll turn on him. So he's got to be very careful. It doesn't always happen, but happens by and large. Now, here you can see what I was talking about when I said the male is smaller than the female. In some cases, the male is not much smaller. Like jumping spiders, the male-female difference in size is not very great. But in the case of the giant wood spider, that's what you see in the middle of your picture. She is huge, bigger than, she's the size of your palm, her legs spread. Male is a tiny little top. So you can see why he is in great danger from the huge, aggressive, and hungry female. He has to be really careful. And sometimes the female, she's got this huge web, like I told you earlier, 4 feet in diameter. There'll be several males, many males hanging around the periphery, waiting for a chance to mate, and also feeding on tidbits that are left over from the female's meal. So they are freeloaders and suitors combined. Female spiders are very careful mothers, very dedicated mothers. They carry the eggs around with them, either in their chelicerae, in their jaws, so to speak, under their bellies, like in the first picture, or in their jaws in front of them, like in the second picture, or they hang them in the web, like I showed you in the scaffold spider. This is another kind of spider that builds also a scaffold, and you can see the egg cases above her, or they carry them around in their spinnerets, like the wolf spider on the lower right picture. They carry their eggs around with them, or they safeguard them. They stick them, they attach them to the web and stay in the web to guard them. Or they a kind of an egg cocoon and attach the underside of a leaf and stand guard. They're always guarding them. And some females even carry on their backs. When the spiderlings hatch, they get their mother's back and she carries them around like a sloth bear. So she has many more babies and they all stick to her. There's one species that goes to the ultimate end. She performs the ultimate sacrifice for her young. Their first meal is her own self. She allows them to feed on her. They feed on her, they drain her body fluids, she dies, and that's their first meal. That gives them the first boost, the kickoff, if you like, to their lives. Now, young spiders, once they disperse, they're all carnivorous. Spiders are cannibalistic, terribly cannibalistic, except for the social spiders. So they have to get away from each other, or they start killing each other off. The young spiders do this. They don't have wings. As I told you, no spider has wings. That's a characteristic of arachnids. So how do they move about? They use that fantastic material, silk, again. They just start releasing a line of silk in the air. It floats about. It's so light, it just floats like a feather, waves about. And when a gust of wind catches that strand, the spider feels the tug on the strand and lets go of whatever it's holding on to and floats, sometimes for hundreds of kilometers. The young spiderling can simply float through the air. When it lands, that's it. It establishes new territory, maybe builds a web or starts its hunting. Now, these, I told you there are some spiders that are, all spiders are venomous, some that are dangerous, man. Their venom is kind of lethal. One group is the black widows. They belong to a separate family. They have very small fangs, but the venom is lethal. The black widow is the typical black widow. The one that you see on the left-hand top corner has that specific hourglass-shaped mark on the underside of the abdomen. She's one of the deadliest spiders in the world, the female. The male is not dangerous. He gets killed most of the time, and that's why she's called the black widow. because she kills her mate. She is bereft of her husband, so she's a widow. That's why it's called the black widow. Another kind of widow spider is the redback, the one that you see in your right-hand bottom corner. That is the spider, but not as lethally dangerous. Dangerous, yes, but not so lethal. The venom is not so strong. There are brown widows, there are spotted widows, all with varying intensities of venom. None as strong as the black widow, the typical black widow. There are others. There are a few others. From the 40,000 found worldwide, this is one of the few lethal ones. The brown recluse, Loxosilase, that is another of the dangerous spiders. It's also called the violent spider because of that mark on its cephalothorax. Looks like a violin with a stalk. So this spider is also dangerous, but not as bad as the black widow because its bite can cause all sorts of tissue damage, as you can see in the picture down below. But it does not kill. But if something like that happens to you, it's pretty bad. You have a mygalomorph, one of those big, what we call tarantulas. They're not tarantulas, actually. They're mygalomorphs. One species found in Australia, the Sydney funnel web, is deadly to human beings. It's dangerous. It can kill a human being. And in this case, male is dangerous. Female. In the cases, it was the female. In all other cases, it's the female. In the case of the Sydney funnel web, it is the male. He's smaller, he's got longer fangs, and he's much more dangerous. His venom can kill a human being, whereas the females cannot. Found only in the Sydney area of Australia, nowhere else in the world. Whereas the black widow and brown recluse are more cosmopolitan. You have a spider from the family Tenizidae found in South America. It's called a wandering spider. These spiders, again, it's the male that's dangerous because he's the one that goes around searching for a female. That's why it's called the wandering spider. The males wander in search of females. Females live in tunnels, in burrows, and they rarely leave their burrows. But the males go looking for females to mate. And that's when they come across others or maybe people, and they can give you a pretty dangerous bite. There are a few others. There's a wolf spider found in Brazil also, which is quite dangerous. But there are 5 or 6, maybe 8 lethally dangerous spiders, dangerous to human beings worldwide of the 40-odd thousand species found in the world. Now, spiders have a huge range in size. They range from that huge mygalomorph, the Goliath spider, which is the biggest spider in the world. You can see there's a comparison of a man's hand by its side. You can see how large it is. And the smallest spider at the other end of the spectrum is sitting on the thumb of that person. So now you get an idea of the difference in sizes of spiders, huge to minute. Spiders also come in various shapes. Now, if you look at the picture on the top left corner, that stump or that thorn sticking out from the axil of a bamboo plant is actually a spider belonging to the family, to the genus Poltes. It's a web spinner. And the lower picture tells you that it's a spider because you can see its legs. But when it sits quietly in the axil, that too in the axil of a plant, in the axil of the branch, which is where you get new fresh sprouts coming out from, it looks just like a fresh sprout. Or a thorn. Thorns are also found in the axils of plants mostly. So this spider mimics a thorn or a stump. So it's called the tree stump spider or the thornback spider. Tremendous, fantastic, amazing camouflage. Spiders can also be extremely colorful, as you can see in these 4 pictures. These are 4 different types of spiders. One is a jumping spider, the other is a flower crab, the third is a web builder, and the fourth is a scaffold spider. They're all extremely colorful. So spiders are not ugly, brown, drab, nasty creatures that we imagine them to be. They're found in all habitats of the earth except the ocean. There is no saltwater spider. In fact, there's no saltwater arachnid. There is one insect that lives in salt water, and it's a water skater which skates on the surface of the water. But that's a totally different creature. No spider lives in salt water. Sure, there's a spider that lives on the seashore, practically near the water line, but never in the water. There are no saltwater spiders. Okay, one group, the Fulcids, the family Fulcidae, are what we call the daddy long leg spiders. Now, they should not be confused with the harvestman. The harvestman has, I told you, only one body segment or 2 body segments that are fused into one. Whereas if you look at these spiders, you'll see 2. clearly two. You have the cephalothorax and you have the abdomen. And they come in various shapes and sizes, and also they belong to different genera. You have the box long legs. We call them long legs because they have these long legs. And the thing about these spiders, some of them, if you touch them, they'll vibrate very rapidly, so rapidly that the body becomes a blur, almost invisible. And that's the defense mechanism. So you have the box long legs on the left, you have the round long legs because the abdomen is round, right-hand top corner, and you have the elongated long legs with a long abdomen down below. There are many different species belonging to these genera. If you look at this spider, you'll think it has only 4 legs. So we call it the 4-leg or the cross spider because it's like a cross. But in fact, it has 8 legs. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a spider. And the legs are held in pairs. So they look like they're only 4, but they're actually 8. So this is one of the common, we call the common cross, or the common 4-leg spider. These are now Orb Web Weavers, the ones that I'm showing you now. These are gastrocanthids. They belong to the genus Gastrocantha. We call them the spiky orbs because they have spikes all over the place. The one down below is called the long-horned orb because it has these 2 long spikes on the abdomen. These are the long-horned orb is usually found in forest areas, but the other one on the top left corner, you can find them even in your house. And all the long-legged spiders you saw earlier can be found in your house. This one can be found in your garden. It's a garden that can be found in deep forests and in house gardens. Same with these, the top left one, that is Brevispana. Then you have the garden spiders, Neoscona, genus Neoscona. This is Nautica. This is also relatively common, but you don't often see it because it is quite drab. It is small, it hides, but it builds an orb web. At night is the best time to go around looking for spiders in orb webs because they're either building their webs or they're all set to catch their prey at that time. And they'll be active, they'll be ready for action. Otherwise, they'll be hiding in a retreat somewhere. This, of course, is the giant wood spider, which you've already seen. It's a huge spider, builds a massive great orb web. Social spider, also, you've seen the web of the social spider, that lacy thing that's strung over leaves of trees, several trees together, many bushes together, in which the sunbird sometimes nests. This is the spider that builds it. And these spiders live in harmony in a community. They're not cannibalistic. Very few spider families are like this. This is the ashy social spider, very common in our area. This is the scaffold spider, the common scaffold spider, which you'll see in your garden. If you go around, if you have bushes in your garden at home, look through the bushes, look through the leaves and the foliage, you'll see a tangle. It'll look like a tangle, but if you look very carefully, you'll see distinct layers of net-like structure and maybe a little meat dome in the center. And this is a small spider, Citricola. It's a tiny little spider. We call it the common scaffold spider. These are jumping spiders, salticids. I told you the biggest family of spiders in the world. The top left is the zebra jumper. Zebra jumper because it's a jumping spider and it's got zebra-like markings, black and white stripes. The one on the right-hand bottom corner is the brown jumper. It also has stripes, but it's brown instead of white. It's black and brown and not black and white. Slightly smaller than the zebra jumper. These are all non-web spinners. Now we're talking about the one spiders that are hunters that don't build webs. They may build a snare or two, but they don't build webs. This is a giant crab spider. Belong to the family Venatoridae or Sparacidae. It's a sparacid spider. Venatoria is the genus. It's very common in houses. Nowadays, not so common because we go spraying our houses and our houses are free of cracks and crevices and stuff. That is their microhabitat, hiding behind furniture, behind wall hangings, cracks and crevices in doors and stuff. Nowadays, our houses are getting more progressively more scientifically built, so we avoid all these things and we are depriving these creatures of a habitat. Now, this spider does not build a web, so it doesn't make your house untidy. It comes out only at night and it eats cockroaches. It's a great cockroach hunter, so it's a great boon to have these things in your house. You won't see them, they don't bother you, they hide all the time. When you're asleep at night, they come and finish up all the cockroaches in your house. So, but we don't think of it that way. We look at this awful, ugly, creepy creature. Kill it or chase it away. Chasing it away is okay. Killing it is not. This is the box spider or the two-tailed spider because 2 of its spinnerets are very long, as you can see in the left-hand bottom corner of the abdomen. They're very long, so they're called two-tailed spiders or box spiders. They live on the bark of trees. And they are fantastically camouflaged. They even change their color to match the bark of the tree. they don't build a web, but they build a little silken pillow on which they lay their eggs, and then they stand guard over it, defending the eggs. These are lynx spiders. They don't build webs. The lynx is a cat, a hunting cat, which stalks and pounces on its prey. These spiders do the same, and therefore they're called lynx spiders. There's the green lynx, then you have the brown lynx, there's the orange lynx, there's the white lynx. There are several species, but they all are the same, and they're characterized by those long spikes on the legs, spiny spikes. The flower crab spider. These spiders are incredible in that they live in flowers, and they wait in flowers for nectar-seeking insects to come along, butterflies, bees. They even kill and eat bees and anything else that comes to the flower. And they change their color to match the color of the flower. Distinct change in color. Excuse me. Some spiders are not satisfied with just chasing and pouncing and all. They are ambush hunters, and they like to fool their prey. These are the ant mimic spiders. They mimic ants, and the spiders are colored according to their prey species of ant. They mimic the ants, and because they look like the ants permit them to join their ranks. Otherwise, ants are deadly. No, very few creatures feed on ants, except maybe anteaters and some birds, because they bite, they sting. So they will keep all intruders at bay. So when something that looks like them comes along, for some reason, maybe the pheromones match or they don't care to check it out, the spider mingles with them and quietly picks off an ant or two and feeds on it. So that's how it gets its prey. But the idea is to look like an ant, and to do this perfectly, the first pair of legs of the spider are held up like the antenna of an ant. So the ant is thoroughly fooled. This is the big jaw spider, Tetranethidae. They look like wisps of grass, and they're very elongated. And they have these huge jaws, some of them, not all, some of them, you can see that they're down below. There's the massive jaws which are folded like the blades of a penknife. And when they want to grab their prey, the fangs are extended, they grab their prey and feed on them. This is the classic hairy, dreadful, frightful tarantula. It's not a tarantula. It's a mygalomorph, a different suborder of spider. There are three suborders of spiders: the mygalomorphs, the cribellate spiders, and the regular spiders. So this is one of those. This is the pterophosid spider. That's one of the families of mygalomorphs. The trapdoor spiders are also mygalomorphs. Now, how do mygalomorphs differ from the common spider? Mygalomorphs, aside from being huge, there are common spiders also that are huge. There are mygalomorphs that are very small, but their chelicerae are downward pointing. They are downward pointing like this. And they strike this way, they stab. Other spiders have their chelicerae opposing each other, like an ant's mandibles. They bite. These don't bite, they stab. So the position of the chelicerae tells you whether it's a pterophosid, or whether it's a mygalomorph or a regular spider. Okay. Now these spiders can grow very large. The biggest spider, the heaviest, most powerful spider in the world is a mygalomorph. And I showed you that picture. The giant, the Goliath spider. We'll come to that a little later. So, but mygalomorphs have these hairs on their bodies which act as sensory organs, and also some of them are they have venom at the tips. So if they brush against you, they'll raise a little bit of rash or eruptions on your skin. But the bite can be painful, not because the venom is strong. This is the yellow thigh spider, which is found in our country in forests. Its venom is not lethal to men, but the fangs are so large, the spider is so big, the fangs are so large that they can really hurt. The fangs of a mygalomorph can go through the fingernail of a child. They're that strong. Another mygalomorph, the trapdoor spider I was talking to you about. These are not hairy at all. In fact, they're shiny and gleaming. But they're mygalomorphs. Look at the jaws. They both are pointing downward in front of the head. Okay, and the biggest spider is the one that you saw right at the beginning, the Goliath spider. The first slide that I showed you, that is the Goliath spider, the biggest spider in the world, and that's a mygalomorph. Right, so the spiders you saw just now are the spiders that we see in our country, except for the Goliath spider. That's not found in our country. That's found up in the Amazon. We do have widow spiders, not the black widow, but we have other subspecies, other species of widow spiders. We have a species of brown recluses. So we do have some dangerous spiders in the country. But these are not native spiders. Our native spiders are all safe. Even if they're big, like the Theraphos that you saw, even if they can puncture your fingernail, they cannot kill you. So in our country, basically, we don't have any venomous spiders except for the foreign introductions. And the thing to remember is spiders are carnivores. All carnivores are at the apex of their food chains. They are very important. They are ecological indicators. They indicate the health of the environment in which they live. If you have carnivores, lots of carnivores, it means everything is in order. It means the herbivores are in order. It means the plants are in order, because if you don't have plants, you won't have herbivores. If you don't have herbivores, you won't have the carnivore. So the carnivores at the top, it tells you that everything else below it, it's at the top of the food pyramid. At the top of the pyramid, it's at the peak. It tells you that everything below it is in order. If something goes wrong, it'll affect the carnivore on the top. And then if you find that a particular habitat lacks spiders or the carnivores, there's something wrong. So they're ecological indicators. They keep the ecology intact. They control pests. They control the populations of other insects and arthropods, which are very, very populous and which will overrun the earth if they're not controlled. And above all, they are harmless to us, most of them. In our country, our own spiders are all harmless. Even the black widow, I have touched redback, the one that I showed you, along with the black widow, stroked its abdomen. As long as you don't bother them, provoke them, agitate them, they don't do a thing. They're safe. I'm not asking to go fiddling with spiders. What I'm saying is don't go killing them. They're not meant to be killed because they are important in the local ecology of any area. Thank you.
Thanks, Pras. That was mesmerizing, to say the least. Absolutely mesmerizing. Fascinating.
Loved it, Preston. Very nice. Geeta here.
Thank you. Hi, Geeta.
Lovely. Very nice, man. Lovely to hear. You're supposed to be coming to my place to see more spiders.
Well, you already know most about spiders.
Oh?
You already know most things about spiders.
No.
I'm sure a lot of this must have been not new to you.
Yeah, quite a few of them are there.
I know about the colorful spiders you have at your place. So,
but still lovely hearing you. It's nice. Lots of things I picked up still that I didn't know before. Great. Nice.
We'll go to the chat box where the questions, observations are. Press for you. One second. I'm just trying to minimize the chat box so that I can read it properly without affecting.
Well, I've got some questions here.
Yeah. I'll post it to them. I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Then it's easier for you.
Right.
One sec. Just going down, scrolling down just to see comments. Of course. All right. There is an observation. So Preston, all the spiders you're showing are the female.
No, not all. You saw the male box long legs along with the female. You saw the male Sydney funnel web spider, which is the dangerous one. So there were some males also in there, but largely yes, female, because the females are bigger, they're more prominent, and they're the ones that you normally see. The black widows and the redback, they were both definitely female. Many of the others were also female, yes.
So those 26 species which are found in your book on urban fauna, which you said that we would be seeing in and around our house and our garden and everything, those pictures, most of them are also female, is it? Or what you see in and around our house and in the garden, they're also most of the times female?
No, the jumping spiders are often male.
Okay.
And you can tell, you need to know this. If you want to distinguish male from female, you got to look very closely at the pedipalps. Now, you know the pedipalps are the organs just on either side of the chelicera, of the jaws. The little organs I told you are used as antennae, as handling organs. In the male, I'm sorry, I didn't mention this, I should have. In the male, it is used as a reproductive organ. It is not the same as in other animals. It is just an organ that the male charges those organs with his sperm. The male pedipalp is swollen at the tip, and that's how you tell male from female. It's swollen, it's charged with the male sperm, then he goes to the female and applies it to her. So that is the way the spiders do it, using those. And they are not exactly reproductive organs, they are reproductive tools. And that's how you tell a male from a female. The two pedipalps will be swollen at the tip in all spiders. In some cases, it's not so prominent, but if you look carefully, you'll see a slight swelling, and then you know it's the male. Females don't have that because they don't use them as reproductive tools.
Okay. Then what kind of toxins do their venom consist?
So it's largely in the case of the brown recluse. You saw what it did to that person's thumb. It's like viper venom. It's hemotoxic. It destroys tissue. But in many cases, it is neurotoxic, like in cobra venom, where it affects the muscles. Your muscles get paralyzed, so you cannot breathe. Your heart doesn't beat because the muscles that operate the lungs and heart, they stop functioning, and so you die of respiratory failure. But in most cases, you're talking about the dangerous ones. In all the remaining 39,990 species, the venom does not bother anybody, so you don't have to worry about what kind of venom or toxin it is.
All right. Okay. Now, do you need general observation is the spiders are seen in the houses when it's damp, because that's when it's mostly seen. Is that true? The house is damp.
No.
Maybe during the monsoon or just after.
It doesn't have. Okay. The reason why you often find them in damp. No, the reason why you find them in damp houses is most of the time, rooms that are not used, that are kept closed the whole time, will tend to get damp because they're not aerated. Rooms that are not used are rooms that are not disturbed, and rooms where everything wants to hide because there's no disturbance. So there's plenty of prey in there. Spider goes in there because it's the best place to have a meal. That's why you do find them in damp places, maybe more often, but it's not that they go in there because it is damp. They want some place which is undisturbed. Damp rooms means room that is not used much, therefore not disturbed much. So you have spiders and their prey in there.
All right. The next question is the scaffold spider same as tent web?
No, tent web is different. Tent web is the nursery web spider. That's different. Scaffold spiders, it's the web is layers. If you have a garden and you have bushes, go and take a close look. You will definitely find them there. And it'll look like a mess, but if you look carefully, each layer is a beautiful net, and they are laid one on top of the other. You'll find these egg cases in the center, hanging from the center, and the spider upside down below it. A very colorful spider, as you saw in the picture, but you won't see those colors when you look at it in reality because it's that tiny, that tiny.
I have unmuted. What is the largest prey a spider catches?
Well, the giant Goliath spider catches birds, small snakes, lizards. And so, yeah, I would say lizards and snakes would be about the biggest prey, and small birds are the biggest prey that spiders catch.
All right. Is there a symbiotic relationship between the sunbird and the social web spiders?
Well, they nest together, but it's not so much a communalistic thing as a one-way benefit to the bird. The bird benefits because it's got its nest already made for it. Spiders don't benefit from the bird being there in any way. They don't need the chicks, they don't feed on them, nothing. So they don't get anything from it, but they provide the bird with a nest and the bird benefits.
Okay. So Chandran says he remembers reading somewhere that spiders, both in terms of individuals and biomass, outnumber most of the species other than microbes. Is this correct?
In some cases, yes. In some cases, 1 acre of land contains hundreds of thousands of spiders, of the small ones, small web building and non-web building spiders. Yes. In terms of biomass, they're really huge. Perhaps not worldwide in terms of all kinds of creatures, because insects top that list. But in specific areas, definitely more than insects. And you'll wonder how come, because spiders prey on insects. So insects should be much more than the predator. But not all spiders prey on insects. Some prey on small, tiny creatures, microbes, other spiders, other arthropods. So it's not just insects that they depend on. And that's why you find this many spiders in some cases. Some fields, agricultural fields, where there are plenty of insects, you have many thousands of spiders, small ones, tiny ones, which you won't even see.
Okay. So this
I wouldn't say outnumber other or other than microbes. Yes. Yeah. So that's right.
Yeah, that's what. Other than microbes.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is I think an adjunct to the earlier question. The sunbird. Question is: will the spider not prey on the sunbird when it builds its nest along with the spider?
Like I just said, it is not a communalistic relationship. That is, it's not that a communalism. It's not communalism. Both parties don't benefit from each other. One party alone benefits. It's rather one-sided. The sunbird benefits. The spiders, they don't prey on them. I think I said that. They don't prey on either the nestlings or the bird itself. What they may, I don't know this for sure, but I'm surmising that birds carry lice and small ticks and mites on their bodies. Those things would infest the nest. They'd get off the birds' bodies and hide in crevices in the nest. Those would probably be preyed upon by the social spiders, because that would form their natural prey. So in that sense, perhaps you could say that the birds are bringing their food to them. In that sense, it could be a communal relationship, but by and large, it is not. It is just that the bird sees this ready-made nest and nests in it, and the spider doesn't harm the bird or the nestlings in the least.
Okay, Press, the signature spiders we usually see are females?
Yes, because they are huge. They are like the giant wood spider. The female is many hundred times the size of the male.
Okay.
In the case of one giant wood spider, she's about 1,000 times heavier. But in the case of the signature spiders, that's the cross spiders, the four-leg spiders that I showed you that hold their legs in pairs. Those spiders, yes, it's the female because she's the prominent one that builds the nest, the web, and hangs in it. You may see a male or two hanging around the periphery, but largely it's the female that you see, yes.
Okay.
The picture that you saw also was that of the female.
So the next thing is, evolutionarily speaking, why do some spin webs and others don't? Is that related to where they are distributed, fauna, climate, etc., and what they feed on, etc.?
It is just a characteristic of the species. Animals do different things. They feed in different ways. They look different. They live differently, even if they belong to the same class or same group or maybe even same genus. It is not that not really connected with climate or anything like that. It is just that they are evolved to live this way. Because it's not that in some areas, some climatic conditions, you find only web builders and find no other, don't find the non-web builders, or in some other climatic conditions, you find only non-web builders and you don't find the web builders. It's not like that. You find both kinds. You find all kinds in most environments, in most climatic zones. So it is not connected with the climate. Evolutionarily speaking, I don't exactly know what you mean by evolutionarily, but well, they have evolved this way. They have evolved to do these things that they do now. They have evolved to be what they are. And what causes evolution to create different things is a great big subject, vast subject.
All right, Press, this is a very interesting thing. We see some spiders on the farm that build webs on the plants. The local farmers like to remove them as they think they harm the plants. So is it okay to just let them be, and what happens when we water the plants?
In China, some farmers build shelters for spiders to shelter in because they want the spiders on their farms. See, Chinese are a very ancient group of people. They've done things for millennia. Farming also is a very old practice in China. So the Chinese know, and many farmers in our country also know. There are some that are perhaps not aware, but most farmers do know that spiders are beneficial and they don't chase them away. They won't remove them. The mites, now this is probably where the problem comes in. Mites also have 8 legs. They're also arachnids. And many mites are plant pests, that's for sure. So when a farmer sees something with 8 legs crawling around, hey, this is the guy that's been eating my plants, get rid of it. So it could be mistaken identity that causes them to perhaps remove spiders, the ones that can't make out the difference between mites and spiders, regular spiders. What happens when we water the plants? Nothing really happens. The spider goes under the leaf. Like most other insects and creatures, when it rains heavily, what do? They shelter. So when you pour water, it's raining for them, they shelter. They don't get drowned. One or two may get caught up. If you have a very powerful hose, you can hose it right off the plant, and maybe the force of the water can even kill it. But that is a one-off thing. By and large, nothing happens. It's just like rain. Nobody can say that all these little creatures out in the field die when it rains. They don't. It's the same thing. They're not bothered by watering. Nothing happens. The web may get damaged. They'll promptly build another one.
Right. That's fantastic. Huh? That's nature for you. Yeah. The hunters, they don't build webs and actively look for prey. They must be really good at hunting. What might be the senses that aid them?
In the case of the web builders, the trap builders, webs are traps, they're snares.
Yeah.
In the case of the web builders, they don't use any sense. They sit there and wait patiently for something to blunder into the web, or into their sheet web, or whatever they build, whatever trap they make. In the case of the Trapdoor Spider, I told you, it has these radiating rays of webs running from its tunnel mouth to the surrounding outside. It keeps its front feet on those rays, which also enter the tunnel, the tunnel that it lives in. So in this case, it is the sense of touch that is telling the spider something has come, because when an insect stumbles on the strand, the spider is warned. It's like a telegraph wire. It's like a long wire. You're holding an end of the wire and somebody twangs the wire. You can feel the vibration. The same thing happens here. So here it's a sense of touch. But in the case of the web builders, they don't use any sense. They just wait. It's a waiting game. In the case of the active hunters, like the saltuses, the jumping spiders, the lynx spiders, the giant crab spiders, they use eyesight. That's why I showed you the very first one. The first slides I showed you was those huge eyes. Those huge eyes belong to the active hunters, the wolf spiders, and other such. The auger face spider, which actually flings a net on its prey, it needs to see. It needs to see something moving some distance away so it can fling its net on it. So those kind of spiders use sight. So it's either sense of touch or the sense of sight. It's and there's nothing else. They don't use it. They don't have hearing. Sense of smell is not there. It's just taste and feel and sight.
Wow. Wow. Have you ever been hurt by any spider?
In our country, we don't have any spiders that can hurt us, except, okay, I did say we have those huge theraphosid spiders, those hairy mygalomorphs, which have a fang that is long and strong enough to penetrate a child's fingernail. Now that can definitely hurt. It will you drive a nail, an ani, a metal nail through your fingernail. Are you going to be happy with it? The pain will be the same. And in addition, the spider has venom. There's no doubt about that. So that will give you some more pain. So it will be more painful than driving a nail through your fingernail. But it is not venomous, not lethally venomous. It cannot kill you. It can make you a little sick, perhaps fever, maybe some swelling, a little stuff like that. But by and large, no. And I have never been hurt by a spider. I've handled so many of them. The giant wood spider, once I just wanted to see what it would do, because I knew it was tiny. I knew it is not venomous, dangerous. So I picked one up and I held it in my finger and I saw it trying to bite my finger. Tiny jaws, although the spider is that big. Its jaws are minuscule. It tried to nip my finger. I could feel a faint nip on my skin. That was the most devastating attack I've ever had from a spider.
Yeah, I know. Why would we want to go around disturbing it and touching it? Of course, you're a scientist. You needed to do that. All right. Do all spiders regrow their limbs?
Yeah, they do, but not at a moment's notice, not when they feel like it. If they lose a limb, I told you there are several instars in a spider's life, 5 or 8 instars. There are many of them. So, just excuse me. There are many, all spiders do this. Once they shed their exoskeleton, that is once they pass one instar and they go on to the next instar after a molt, they can regrow a lost limb. When they molt, they regrow the lost limb. After they molt, the new limb is present there. But between instars, if they lose a leg, for example, they just molted and they lose a leg, until the next molt, they cannot regrow the leg. And after the last molt, they are permanently without that leg.
Right. Preston, Geeta here got cut off when you were giving the answer on toxins. So
Toxins, yeah.
Can you just answer that again? She's back.
Yeah, yeah. Spider toxin is hemotoxic or neurotoxic, just like snake venom, and some are a mix. The brown recluse, like Loxosilase spiders, venom is hemotoxic. It destroys tissue and can do some real bad damage. The other spiders like the black widows and others, are neurotoxic. They can cause muscle failure and therefore heart failure, lung failure, and stuff like that. And some are a cocktail of both. As in the case of snakes, some snakes have neurotoxic venom, some have blood toxins, and some have a combination of both.
Okay. Can we know some of the causes that endanger spiders? Dangers that they face. What kind of dangers do spiders face? What causes such dangers to happen to spiders?
Dangers in the sense they are prey for many species of birds, other spiders, insects, mammals. Recently, I saw something quite incredible. I think it was in the MNS chat group. Somebody posted a video of squirrels running after spiders and hunting them down. So, I mean, this can happen any time. They are a prey item. Every animal is a prey item, by and large, in the wild. Nothing is not touched by others. Even in large mammals, animals are, if they're not actively hunted, they are scavenged when they die. So a spider is a small creature. It is easy to overcome, and some spiders are not the venom is not dangerous. They are preyed upon by scores of birds, insects, other spiders, centipedes, scorpions. All these creatures eat spiders. So, but I wouldn't say that these are dangers. This is just a part of the natural process. Animals prey on others; they are preyed upon by themselves also. So the animals are both predator and prey. They may be only prey, they may be predator and prey together. It's not a question of danger. Only we human beings have that concept of danger because we think that we shouldn't be touched. Nothing should touch us. But other animals are not. Animals are not like that. The animal world is full of prey. Hunt and escape. It's a question of saving yourself and attacking another animal.
Wow. That was nicely put, Preston. Really nicely put. How do you classify the thin, long-legged spiders that we see at home with spin webs? That's a box. Yeah, box. Daddy dog.
Yeah.
Roof corners in our house, on our homes. Yeah.
That's one type of web I did not mention actually. And these long, thin-legged, daddy-long-legged spiders are fulcids. They belong to the family Fulcidae. They're called fulcid spiders. They have these thin, long legs, and when you touch them, they'll vibrate rapidly. They build cobwebs. Cobweb is nothing but an untidy, tangled mass of silk in a corner somewhere. The black widow spider is one of these. It's not a fulcid, but it builds a similar web, just an untidy mass. So they're called cobwebs. That's how we classify them. And the web and the spider is classified under the family Fulcidae. Holscidae. Fulcidae. Yeah, these are the. Somebody said about brushing them off with a broom. Yeah, we do that all the time because they make our rooms look ugly. You see, if the web is fresh, you won't even see it because it is absolutely invisible. When dust gets onto it, it is sticky, so dust particles settle on it. Then insects that the spider has been eating, the exoskeletons are left hanging on it, so it becomes ugly, and then we say, oh, this is terrible, and we sweep it off. But if you don't kill the spider within, it will build another one, maybe in the same place or in another place.
Are female signature spiders cannibals too?
Sure, they are. All spider females are cannibalistic. All male spiders are in danger when they go for coating.
That's true. A single spider parent usually produces a large number of offspring. So does it matter for the male or the female adults if they are from the same parent when they mate?
The male and female don't even know which is their offspring and which is not. The male mates and either is killed or runs away. So he has no further interest, no further information, no further connection with his offspring. So if he has no connection with them, he couldn't be bothered whether they're his or somebody else's. It doesn't matter. His idea is to mate and get away before that wife grabs him and kills him. The female, she always has her young with her. She carries the eggs with her, or she carries them on her back. So it's the young ones that she has with her are always her own. And it cannot be somebody else's, because the two female spiders will not breed together. They won't sit, hang around side by side like sisters-in-law or sisters, breeding together and all that, and sharing domestic duties. No way. They'll kill each other. So they stay far apart, which means whatever baby is around them is theirs. They don't have to worry about this, whether it's mine or somebody else's stepchild or whatever. These things don't come into the picture in the animal kingdom. These are all human sentiments.
Okay. Do you have a spider-specific anti-venom, or the snake anti-venom would do in case a black widow spider gets you?
Yeah, spider anti-venom is there. I'm not sure if it's the same that is used for snake venom, but it is there, especially in places like Australia. Australia is one country where you have more venomous creatures than non-venomous creatures. That doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. You have more venomous creatures than non-venomous creatures in Australia. So Australia has worked very hard on antivenoms of various creatures, spiders, ants, scorpions. Even there is a tick called the blue sheep tick, which can kill. It causes sleeping sickness. Snakes, 9 out of 10 snakes in Australia are venomous. So, and there you have to make sure that you have the offender in front of you, because the anti-venom differs, not like in our case. In our case, one anti-venom works for all 4. Up to now, but now again, they are finding there are differences. But in Australia, you have to be very careful. You have to make sure that you know what has bitten you. But there is anti-venom for all these things. And Australia is working very hard. Their labs work full-time developing anti-venom because of the number of venomous creatures found in that country.
Oh, thanks, Press. Last question. Why cobweb? Why the name cobweb?
Okay, the last answer, I don't know.
Thanks, Preston. That was me. Cob. Any particular reason?
I don't really know. Cob, I don't know if it's related to cobblestones, which are irregularly placed, together. And the cobweb is an irregular structure, a mess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, all right. Good.
But that's a good question, actually. And maybe somebody needs to find out why it's called a cobweb.
Okay, there's one more that's popped up. Do all female spiders tend to sacrifice themselves to the spider hatchling?
No.
Or do they get away?
No.
Yeah.
Not at all, no.
It's true. Yeah.
No, there's only one, I think, from what I know, there's one, maybe 2 species that do that. But definitely not the others. In many cases, the spiderlings will hang around the female in her web until they start ballooning away. It's called ballooning, this business of flying off with the web with the silk attached. And they just disperse. They don't feed on the female, except in that I forget the name of that particular spider, but there is definitely one that does that.
Right. All male avens. Does the mother feed on baby anytime?
No.
No. Okay. All
mainly because before she gets hungry enough to feed on them, they disperse.
Okay. Umesh has quickly gone to Google and checked. Spider webs are called cobwebs because of the old English word for spider was cop, C-O-P-P-E.
All right.
Turns out that cobwebs are only produced by
Theridae, yes.
Theridae.
Yeah.
And Rhinifidae. Okay, so money spiders. So
well, actually, even the falsehood spider builds a cobweb.
Yeah. Okay. So all others should be just known as.
Now, okay, there is a reason for that. The Theridae their silk is frazzled. It's a little different from the silk of the other spiders.
Okay.
But the cobweb, the web that they build is very similar to the falsehood's web. So we call that also a cobweb. In fact, the general term for a spider's web is cobweb. Everybody says cobweb. Oh, there's a cobweb there.
Yeah.
But nobody says, oh, there's an orb web there, or there's a sheet web there, or there's a funnel web there, or there's a, they just say cobweb because it disgusts them to see a web. It should not. We shouldn't get disgusted. We should be more practical and sensible about these things.
Yeah.
Know exactly why they're there, for what reason, how important they are. But thanks, Umesh. Thanks for that. Yes, they are built by the Theridids, the particular those tribulate spiders. They have a comb-like structure on their leg, with which they frazzle the web.
All right. Yeah, there's another last question. How does the environmental issues, climate change, for example, impact spiders in an ecosystem? Environmental issues, because you've been there. I mean, you must have seen plenty of it in all the factories that you worked in, and all the habitats that you have created over the last 6-7 years have been so very, very different. You know, all ecosystems. You've kind of touched upon at least 5 or 6 ecosystems that I know of. Yeah, do they impact spiders? I mean, are they do such environmental issues? That's a wonderful question. Yeah.
Okay, it's been rephrased from the previous time. Yeah, of course. See, spiders are invertebrates. Invertebrates, like reptiles, and are cold-blooded. They cannot regulate their body temperature. And every organism, in order to survive, most organisms, in order to survive, need warmth. So in very cold areas, you definitely won't find spiders. In salt environments like the ocean, you don't find spiders.
Correct.
In very hot places, very, very hot, you won't find spiders. They need a moderate climate. So, and then now climate change, in that sense, yes, it will. Also, if it's very, very wet, and if there's no shelter, you won't find spiders enjoying the rain. They need shelter. If it's a very hot place, a very rainy place like the Amazon, well, the Amazon's full of vegetation. The spider has millions of places to hide, in which case rain is not a problem. Heat is also not a problem because in a forest there's a lot of transpiration going on, so the temperature is moderated. But climate change, yeah, of course, climate change, well, it affects everything. There's nothing that it doesn't affect. Why do you think the world is so agitated about climate change? It is the deadliest single factor for life on Earth. The deadliest single factor, climate change. Climate is what has molded the Earth to create it the way it is, to make it function the way it is functioning. You go and change that. Who are you? You're a baby of evolution. You came last on the Earth. Everything evolved before you. We guys came last. We're the babies of evolution. We came last, and we'll probably be the first to go if we do what we're doing, continue doing what we're doing now. Because we are the least able to adapt to change on our own. Other creatures are able to some extent. We need our science around us to help us adapt and to save us. And we are the ones who are most susceptible, and we are the ones who are creating the greatest danger by our activities. So it's an ironic thing. We're harming ourselves and then wondering how to protect ourselves. We know how to do it, but we don't want to do it. We don't care about the other life on Earth. A lot of us. We have to, because only because of them, we are here. The Earth is one interconnected functioning unit. It cannot function separately in solitude. It has to be a combined working force. And we are part of that force. Every other creature on Earth is part of that force. The non-living environment is part of that force, air, water, and soil. The Earth survives because of the living and non-living environment. This is what has made life on Earth possible. I don't know how many billions of cubic miles of space we are now aware of. We have now explored. We've explored billions of cubic miles of space. Until today, we have not found another planet that is capable of supporting life. Only this one. And look what we're doing to it.
Yes, Press, that was real deep, and I think we needed this speech. Thanks. Your observations are absolutely on the dot. One last question. Does temperature influence the gender of the hatchlings?
Not as in the case of reptiles, no. Somebody is a herpetologist there, I think. No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. All right. Okay. So that's it as far as the questions go. Thank you very much. Everybody thoroughly enjoyed it. In fact, GK has said that his entire family sat in for your talk. His daughter thoroughly enjoyed every spider that you showed. Yeah. Obviously couldn't show all of them, but then phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Fantastic day. Well, there's one more question popping up. Are spiders considered to be keystone species, given the fact that they definitely factor into the stability of the ecosystem?
They are an important species, of course, because they are carnivores. I told you they're at the top of the food chain, of their respective food chains, and they're ecological indicators. So depending on how you look at the word keystone, you could consider them to be keystone species. If you think that if you're looking at their particular food pyramid or their particular environment, yes, because they are in the ecological indicators. They indicate the health of the environment. So in that sense, I suppose you could call them keystone species.
Right. Yeah, that's another way of looking at keystone species.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, great. Sudhakar, are you there? Would you like
Vijay,
to say?
can I say something?
Yeah.
Vijay?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Preston, you should do a presentation on beetles also, Preston, because you're a beetles man, remember?
Not really.
You did beetles. You did beetles at this place abroad. So Smithsonian, you were there, right, with beetles?
Oh, that was just a little study.
Yeah.
Because the reason I did that is because I couldn't find enough spiders. So there you are. Some habitats, maybe environmental reasons, there weren't many spiders there.
But
I could not find enough spiders because to do a study you need a lot of information, and I couldn't find that many spiders to give me that information. So I did it on beetles.
So maybe you should do a presentation.
I can give you a talk on how to capture beetles and how to mark them.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Preston. Sudhakar,
welcome.
Would you like to say something before we sign off the meeting? Sudhakar?
Yeah, we learned so many things which we have learned for so many years, and spiders are there in front of you, and I wish I had taken interest in spiders time back. Having said that, what maybe we can think of is that when all this corona everything dies down, we can organize a spider walk with Preston. We should think about that.
Yeah.
You can. Yeah. We have enough spiders.
All we have to do for that is just drop in at Preston's home. I think his home has got about 50-60 species.
Okay, that will be easy for him also. Okay. Anyway, we can think of some nice place like anywhere. Yeah.
All right.
Corona is over. Maybe.
Thank you, Preston.
Welcome everybody.
Please.
All welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Sudhakar. Thank you, Press.
Thanks, Vijay. Thanks, Sudhakar. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, it's not easy to get Preston on a Sunday morning. It's the most difficult thing to do.
No, now it is. Now it's coronavirus time. Everything has changed.
Talking about it otherwise. He's a very prominent member of his church's choir.
But now there's no church, no choir, so no problem.
No church, but otherwise.
Therefore, no problem.
Yeah, okay, that's true. All right then. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Preston. See you soon again.
Very welcome. Yes, hope so.
Thank you all very much for attending this monthly meeting, and see you again next month. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Take good care of yourselves.